We usually expect the hero to make the right choice. They're the good one, the brave one, the person we're supposed to root for. When something goes wrong in an animated movie, we assume it's the villain's fault. But sometimes, it's not. Sometimes the whole mess starts because the hero made a really bad decision. Maybe they acted too fast. Maybe they didn't listen. Maybe they let their pride take over. Or maybe they thought, this won't be a big deal, right before it turned into a huge problem. And that's what makes these stories interesting. A lot of the time, the villain doesn't even have to do much at the beginning. The hero makes one wrong move and everything starts falling apart. A friendship breaks. A secret gets exposed. A city gets put in danger. A family gets torn apart. And the worst part? The hero has to face the fact that it was their fault. That's very real. Because in real life, people don't mess up because they're evil. They mess up because they're emotional. They're impatient, they're insecure, they want something badly, and they don't think about what could happen next. These animated movies show that clearly. The hero isn't perfect. They make mistakes, sometimes huge ones. Today, we're looking at times when the hero made a terrible decision, and how that one choice changed everything. So why do heroes make such bad choices in the first place? It usually comes down to emotion. A lot of animated heroes are young. They're still figuring out who they are. They want freedom. They want respect. They want to prove something. And when emotions take over, logic disappears. Sometimes it's pride. The hero wants to show they can handle things on their own. They ignore advice from parents, mentors, or friends because they don't want to look weak. Sometimes it's fear. They're scared of losing someone, scared of failing, scared of not being enough. And instead of slowing down and thinking clearly, they rush into a decision just to make that fear go away. Other times, it's jealousy or insecurity. They compare themselves to others and feel like they're falling behind. So they make a choice to fix that feeling, even if it creates a bigger problem. And let's be honest, sometimes they just don't think things through. They assume everything will work out. They believe they can fix any mistake later. They underestimate how serious the situation really is. That's what makes these decisions feel real. They're not evil choices, they're human ones. The hero doesn't wake up trying to ruin everything. They just act without thinking. And that's when the trouble begins. Let's look at some clear examples where one bad decision started the entire problem. In Frozen, Elsa makes a choice out of fear. After accidentally hurting Anna when they were kids, she decides to shut everyone out. She hides her powers. She isolates herself. She believes pushing people away will keep them safe. But that decision builds years of distance and confusion. Then, at her coronation, when her emotions explode, she freezes the entire kingdom. The endless winter wasn't caused by a villain. It started with fear and isolation. In Finding Nemo, Marlin's terrible decision is overprotecting his son. Because he's so scared of losing Nemo, he embarrasses him and refuses to trust him. Nemo then swims out into open water just to prove himself and gets captured. Marlin's fear pushes Nemo into danger. One moment of control leads to the entire adventure. In Brave, Merida refuses to accept her future. Instead of talking things through with her mother, she makes a reckless choice. She goes to a witch and asks for a spell to change her mom. She doesn't think about the consequences. That single decision turns her mother into a bear and puts the whole kingdom at risk. And in Ralph Breaks the Internet, Ralph acts out of insecurity. He's afraid of losing his best friend, so he tries to secretly change her game to keep her close. Instead of talking honestly, he interferes. That choice almost destroys their friendship completely. In all these movies, the villain isn't the spark. The hero is. One emotional decision, one rushed moment, and everything changes. Pride is one of the biggest reasons heroes make terrible decisions. Wanting to prove yourself doesn't sound bad at first, but in a lot of animated movies, that need to prove something causes serious damage. In The Lion King, young Simba wants to act brave and grown up. When Scar suggests visiting the elephant graveyard, Simba knows it's forbidden, but he goes anyway. Why? Because he wants to impress Nala. He wants to show he's not just a cub. That one decision puts both of them in danger and sets up Scar's larger plan. Simba's pride makes him easy to manipulate. In Cars, Lightning McQueen refuses help during his first big race. He believes he can win on his own. He pushes away his pit crew and acts like he doesn't need anyone. Because of that, he loses the race at the last second. His pride literally costs him the championship. Then there's Aladdin. Aladdin's pride and insecurity push him to lie about who he really is. He wants Jasmine to see him as a prince, not a street thief. Instead of being honest, he keeps building the lie. That choice gives Jafar an opportunity to manipulate the situation and nearly take over the kingdom. In each of these stories, the hero isn't trying to hurt anyone. They just don't want to look small. They don't want to seem weak. They want respect. But pride clouds judgment. And one proud decision can lead to a disaster that's much bigger than they ever expected. Another common terrible decision? Trusting the wrong person. Sometimes the hero sees the red flags, sometimes they don't. But either way, that misplaced trust creates chaos. In Frozen, Anna decides to marry Hans after knowing him for one day. She believes in love at first sight. She ignores how fast everything is moving. That one choice gives Hans direct access to the throne. By the time she realizes the truth, he's already positioned himself in power. Her blind trust almost cost her kingdom everything. In Hercules, Hercules trusts Hades when he makes a deal to give up his strength for 24 hours. He believes Meg will be safe. He doesn't fully think through who he's negotiating with. Hades twists the agreement and uses it against him. Hercules' trust gives the villain exactly what he wants. Then there's Moana. Moana trusts Maui to help her restore the heart. But Maui's pride and fear cause him to abandon her in the middle of the ocean. While Moana grows from the experience, her early trust in someone who wasn't ready to be responsible leaves her stranded and doubting herself. Trust isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's usually a good quality. But in these movies, trusting too quickly, or trusting someone with a hidden agenda, becomes a huge mistake. The hero believes in people. The problem is, not everyone deserves that belief. Sometimes the hero's terrible decision isn't about pride or trust. It's about impulse. They get curious. They get excited. They act before thinking. In The Little Mermaid, Ariel is fascinated by the human world. She ignores her father's warnings again and again. Then she makes the biggest decision of all, trading her voice for legs. She doesn't fully understand the contract. She doesn't think about what could go wrong. She just wants something different. That one impulsive choice gives Ursula all the power. In Encanto, Mirabel doesn't mean to cause problems. But her decision to push and question the magic in front of everyone creates tension in the family. She acts out of frustration and desperation to help. Instead, the cracks in the house get worse. Her timing and approach make the situation explode faster than it might have otherwise. And in Monsters University, Mike is so determined to prove he belongs that he secretly enters the scare games using a risky technical loophole. He doesn't stop to think about what will happen if they're caught. That one choice leads to him and Sully being expelled. Curiosity and impulse don't come from bad intentions. They come from wanting more, wanting change, wanting to feel important. But acting in the moment without thinking long-term consequences, that's when everything spirals. And once the damage is done, the hero has to find a way to fix what they started. As frustrating as these bad decisions can be, they actually make the story stronger. If the hero never messed up, the movie would feel flat. There would be no growth, no hard lessons, no emotional weight. When a hero makes a terrible decision, it raises the stakes. Now the problem is personal. It's not just about stopping a villain. It's about fixing something they caused. That adds guilt, regret, responsibility, and that makes the journey more powerful. We connect more with characters who fail than with characters who are perfect. Seeing a hero admit they were wrong, apologize, and work to fix their mistake feels real. It shows maturity. It also makes the final victory feel earned. When Elsa learns to open up, when Marlin learns to trust, when Merida takes responsibility, those moments matter because they came after failure. The mistake becomes the turning point. Without the bad decision, there would be no lesson, no change, no emotional payoff. Sometimes the worst choice is exactly what the story needs. These movies show something simple but important. Everyone makes bad decisions, even heroes. What matters is what happens next. Do they blame someone else? Or do they take responsibility? Do they learn? Do they grow? The best animated heroes don't win because they were perfect from the start. They win because they faced their mistake and chose to do better. That's a lesson that goes beyond movies. Slow down, think things through, listen. And if you mess up, fix it. Heroes don't become great because they always make the right decision. They become great because they recover from the wrong ones. One bad choice can change everything. But owning that mistake, that's what truly defines a hero.